So we are back up here with Napapa.
Hey, be Jerry.
Win-win.
Ladies and gentlemen, we need you to expedite your seating. Please.
Moswo. Mopio.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We shall all take our seats. A long shot, but it was also a short one because when we walked in, it was like bed as I left from American Street. Bed, I was like, what's but it's like, let's do that. And it's a great issue. But the person that helps us put everything together, a distinguished lady right there, principal consultant, Dr. Agyemang Asamoah. And she's here to give us the opening remarks, and we can kick things off. But before that, I'll let her mention her name in full. If she doesn't, she will go, your name, everyone will go. Your name in full.
Thank you, my dear friend and partner in this work. Your Majesty, Otumfuo'S Tutu, Asantehene, greetings to you. Thank you for your global leadership and for gracing us with your presence today. Anthony K. Tutu, Provost and Chief Academic Officer and alum of HU. You know! See, call and response actually survived. To the many family, friends, sorors, friends, my God, and all gathered here today. Greetings to each of you. Now, I pledge the whole way, and I'm African, so we know that the greeting.
Your Majesty, Otumfuo'S Tutu II, the Asantehene, Excellencies and members of the Diplomatic Corps, honorable members of the United States Congress, distinguished government officials, members of the Howard University Board of Trustees, faculty, staff, students, alumni, and invited guests, all protocols now being observed. Good evening. Good evening. On behalf of the entire Howard University community and as a native Ghanaian, it is both an honor and a privilege to extend our warmest welcome to His Majesty Otumfuo'S Tutu II, the Asantehene, and King of the Ashanti Kingdom in Ghana. Your Majesty, your presence on this historic campus is profoundly meaningful. As one of Africa's most respected traditional leaders, you have distinguished yourself through visionary leadership, steadfast dedication to education, impactful philanthropy, and an unwavering commitment to the advancement of your people and the African continent. Your leadership reflects the values that resonate deeply with Howard University's mission of truth, service, excellence, and global engagement. For nearly 160 years, Howard University has served as a beacon of intellectual achievement and social progress, nurturing leaders who have transformed nations and shaped the global discourse on justice, freedom, and human dignity. Today, we are especially honored to welcome a leader whose legacy similarly reflects a commitment to upholding communities, preserving cultural heritage, and empowering future generations. The relationship between Howard University and Ghana is one grounded in history, shared aspirations, and enduring ties between Africa and the African diaspora. Within 5 years of the founding of this university, in 1872, we graduated our first group of international students, which included one from Prussia, one from the West Indies, and one who listed his address as Cape Coast Castle, Gold Coast, modern-day Ghana. In fact, the fourth president of Howard University, Edward Parmalee Smith, was selected to be president, but unfortunately passed during a mission trip to West Africa and is buried near Accra. Your visit strengthens these connections and reminds us of the importance of cultivating partnerships that advance scholarship, innovation, cultural understanding, and economic opportunity across the globe. And welcome to Howard University.
HU.
You know!
Thank you for that warm welcome to campus. You are proof that Africa's people, pride, and power extend beyond the physical borders of the continent, and I am grateful for your leadership. Next up, we have the Dr. Greg Carr. Good evening. Now, family, friends, and all gathered here today, please join me in welcoming the Dr. Greg Carr.
We are here in Otumfuo for your visit. Only the second person to hold fully the name Osei Tutu. From the 17th century, a century older than this country. When this country was working out articles of confederation, and we were in chains, there was an Asante Federation. After many years of conflict and war, who with his brother Okoye calling to the sky for help from heaven, and then the Siketwa, the golden stool, descends from heaven. Coming to the feet of Osei Tutu, unifying Asante. At its peak, the kingdom stretched from the forests to the Atlantic Ocean. Or if you could have stopped the violence that drug us here, and yet we have survived.
Kotokoni kase Probiane Kasangen.
Kotokoni kase Probiane Kasangen.
Mema Probia Ilifia Mani Kotokungen.
Mema Probia Ilifia Mani Kotokungen.
Asante Chantrot Mo Champon Fungen.
Asante Chantrot Mo Champon Fungen.
Asante Sebo Smeditien.
Asante Sebo Smeditien.
Probia Santinede Kasangen.
Probia Santinede Kasangen.
Set to everybody in Revisio.
Set to everybody in Revisio.
O personal dia some journey at some jeba at Memni Ghana Menina.
O personal dia some journey in Kabombo Asantehene Ghana Menina.
Bina Sebian Ko baby.
Oh, Bina Sebian Ko baby.
Never Bacana ne Flampono, Demini Ferrisi.
Never Bacana ne Flampo, Demini Ferrisi.
Mema Jabindo da Koyadungen.
Mema Jabindo da Koyadungen.
Yadona dia Koboja Jota Dot Mo Champon Fungen.
Yadona dia Koboja Jota Dot Mo Champon Fungen.
Otosika Saman Jakungen.
Otosika Saman Jakungen.
Jakwe Boba Krojon Flower.
Jakwe Boba Krojon Flower.
Ina Flower Flampono, Demini Fao.
Ina Flower Flampo, Demini Fao.
Oh, Sadi Fogu Nyagwasingen.
Oh, Sadi Fogu Nyagwasingen.
Oglasa Tinede Kasangen.
Oglasa Tinede Kasangen.
Oglubedia Topera de Mefa Kunyagwasi Adivina Chemera.
On behalf of my dear wife and children, and on behalf of the chiefs and people of Asantehene, I bring you warm greetings. I'm deeply honored to stand before you at Howard University today, an institution whose history occupies a distinguished place in the intellectual, political, and social advancement of people of African descent. I express my sincere appreciation to the Executive Board of the Millennium Excellence Foundation and to the leadership of Howard University for extending this invitation to me and for creating this opportunity for us to reflect together upon matters that concern not merely Ghana or Africa, but the wider historical family of African peoples across the world. Howard University is more than an institution at which knowledge is transmitted and academic degrees are awarded. It's an institution of memory, intellectual courage, social responsibility, and service. Since its establishment, it has helped generations of men and women of African descent to demonstrate that education is not simply a pathway towards individual advancement, but also a responsibility towards society. Its commitment to truth and service makes this university an especially appropriate place to consider the relationship among governance, cultural preservation, traditional leadership, and the reconstruction of meaningful bonds between Africa and its diaspora. The theme placed before us is profound because it brings together three subjects that are too often considered separately. Governance concerns the organization of power and responsibility. Culture concerns the meaning a people give to their existence. And the diaspora concerns the survival of identity across geography, displacement, and historical rupture. Yet beneath all these three lies one fundamental question. How does a people organize itself, understand itself, and transmit to future generations an inheritance worthy of preservation? My proposition this evening is that traditional leadership, when exercised with integrity, wisdom, accountability, and respect for constitutional government, remains an important part of the answer to that question. Traditional leadership should not be understood merely as an institution inherited from the past, nor should culture be reduced to ceremonial display. Properly understood, Both are living resources that can contribute to good governance, social cohesion, peace building, education, development, cultural confidence, and the renewal of relationship between Africa and the peoples of African descent throughout the world. Governance is frequently confused with government. Yet while government refers to the formal institutions of the state, the executive, the legislature, the judiciary, ministries, public agencies, and the administrative machinery through which public policy is implemented, governance is wider. It concerns the manner in which authority is acquired, exercised, limited, and transferred, how resources are managed, how disputes are resolved, how leaders are held accountable, how the vulnerable are protected, and how society defines and pursues the common good. A nation may possess an impressive constitution and yet experience poor governance. It may hold regular elections and still fail to provide justice, security, education, healthcare, or meaningful participation for substantial sections of its population. A judicial decision may determine the legal rights of parties to a dispute, but judgment alone does not always restore damaged relationships within families and communities. Governance, therefore, requires more than institutional machinery. It requires legitimacy, trust, moral restraint, memory, and shared expectations, as well as citizens and leaders who understand that rights are inseparable from obligations and that power is inseparable from responsibility. Traditional African political systems understood this relationship between authority and moral obligation in ways that deserve serious academic attention. Leadership was rarely conceived merely as the possession of unrestricted power. The ruler was expected to protect the community, administer justice, preserve the land, defend the vulnerable, and maintain the people's inheritance. Authority was therefore accompanied by responsibility, and that principle remains relevant to our modern world. Power, separated from responsibility, becomes dangerous. Authority, separated from accountability, eventually loses legitimacy. And leadership that seeks privilege without accepting obligation weakens the institution from which that privilege derives. Permit me in this respect to draw upon the Asante constitutional tradition. The Asante political system is sometimes misunderstood by those who encounter only its visible manifestations: the golden stool, the royal umbrellas, the drums, the gold ornaments, the linquets as they stand here, the swords, the procession, and the great ceremonies of state. These symbols are important because they are the visible language through which memory and authority are communicated. But beneath the splendor lies a sophisticated philosophy of political responsibility. The golden stool is not the private property of the Asantehene. It represents the unity, identity, historical continuity, and collective spirit of Asanteman. The Asantehene is therefore not the owner of the nation, but its custodian, and that distinction is fundamental. The occupant of the golden stool received an inheritance that existed before him, and which must endure after him. He holds authority temporarily, but he holds the people's heritage in trust. The land, institutions, memories, and moral obligations associated with the stool cannot legitimately be reduced to the personal interest of the individual who occupies it. Because from this perspective, leadership is a form of trusteeship. The idea of trusteeship contains an important lesson for all systems of governance. We hold office temporarily. We inherit institutions from those who came before us. And although we exercise authority in the present, our decisions affect people who are not yet born. The leader who consumes everything for the advantage of the present generation has misunderstood the nature of stewardship. This principle has particular agency in an age of environmental degradation. uncontrolled exploitation of natural resources, and political decision-making dominated by short-term considerations. We did not create the rivers, forests, land, and ecological systems that sustain us. We inherited them. And whatever our authority may be today, we have no moral right to destroy the inheritance of generations unborn.
Sure.
Traditional governments also remind us.
Sure.
Traditional governments also reminds us that legitimate authority requires consultation. Our people say, "Tikrom kwejina," meaning that one head does not constitute a council.
Yeah.
And we also say, "Nyansen ni unipa bakuchim," meaning that wisdom does not reside in the head of one person alone.
Sure.
These are not merely attractive proverbs, they communicate a political philosophy. The Asantehene exercises authority through an established order of chiefs, queen mothers, elders, linguists, and recognized customary officers. Matters are considered, evidence may be heard, historical precedent may be recalled. Different perspectives may be presented, and decisions are shaped by consultation and concern for communal harmony.
Sure.
Consultation does not mean that leadership has no authority, nor does listening diminish the dignity of the leader. The leader who refuses to hear contrary opinion eventually becomes imprisoned by those who tell him only what he wishes to hear.
Sure.
Responsible leadership must therefore create room for difficult truth. The modern world sometimes equates decisiveness with refusing consultation, but our ancestors understood differently. They knew that the strength of a decision may depend upon the quality of deliberation that precedes it. This does not mean that traditional institutions should be romanticized, because no institution, traditional, political, religious, or academic, is beyond criticism or reform. And antiquity alone does not confer moral perfection. Traditional authority must justify its continuing relevance through service. A chief who is concerned only with ceremony, privileges, titles, and public honor gradually diminishes the institution he represents. At the same time, a traditional ruler who listens to his people, protects community resources, promotes education, mediates conflict, assists the vulnerable, and responds to contemporary challenges strengthens both tradition and society. May Almighty God bless Howard University, bless the global African family, bless the United States of America, and bless the Republic of Ghana, and bless us all. Thank you very much.
You underscored the critical importance of accountability as it is related to governance. A key takeaway for me was when you talked about wisdom being shared, which is exactly what happens on campus at BHU. And we are so eternally grateful for your presence.
On behalf of Otumfuo'S, Asantehene, and the delegation, I stand to say a big thank you for the wonderful presents that you have given us. They will indeed serve as a lasting memento of our visit to Howard University. And it's going to mark beginnings of a long-standing relationship between Menchia Palace and Howard University. Our lady here said the key takeaway that he had from Otumfuo'S lecture be many and profound. And I think the key takeaway that we also have is the Africanness of Howard University. And Menchia Palace will do everything in its power to ensure the continuity of this Africanness. And I think there should be a reciprocal relationship from Howard University to Menchia, so that in the long run, in Sako and Saba, the hand go, the hand come, and then going and coming makes the cloth weaving more perfect. Thank you very much.
What an enlightening evening we have had. I just want to thank you all for coming one more time on behalf of the Millennium Excellence Foundation and on behalf of the university. Dr. Hope will just thank the sponsors of the evening.
Nana do here so nana mo pia nana do here so nana na nana mo chewo ne dia na ka bija o mansa na wako. Wonderful.
Asante.
That's right.
Enye like Rohinika, enye geographical.
That's right.
All the people around the world.
Thank you nana do nana mo pia. Na dia na ka ja o nana mansa na wako.
The American say Osumpa and Amofantina.
That's right.
We hear when you know some said you are kind. Some more kind of Fanya.
Yes, you.
Near Tumpo.
Yeah, that's it. You're nana 90. And also no Yawura nana no wa say Abrempong and na Mahine na this year nana no nyina wa say your friend this year by the reason so na enkomo and there said yesi kwaye no manfo na ni agiye pa. Hey, what's your name?
Trey.
Yes, so Trish.
Yes, Trey.
Okay, so how do you feel after the king speaks?
I thought it was very beautiful. It's a great opportunity to be here and to, gain wisdom from him because of all the good things he's done for Ghana.
Right. So you're gonna go back to Ghana?
Oh, I'd love to go to Ghana. I need to.
You have to.
I'll come December.
Go see the Menchia Palace.
Yes, yes.
Right.
Yes.
And do you know the day you were born?
January 9th on Friday.
Not Friday. Yes. So you mean Afia?
Yes.
So you go back to Kumasi Ashanti Kingdom and then they'll call you Afia, okay?
Yes, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah,
what's your name?
Mimi.
How do you feel about the King's speech?
I feel very, very electrocuted. A lot of knowledge put in my head.
Right.
I like seeing this. I like seeing the culture. I like seeing stuff like this. Yes.
Okay.
Very empowering especially for Pan-Africanism.
Pan-Africanism.
Yes.
Right. Have you been to Ghana?
I was born and raised.
Oh, you born and raised in Ghana?
And to say, I got Pacho Mahoye.
Akuya na sajua.
Pacho me Abnawa.
Abna Pepi. I'm Abna Pepi ni. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. So Abna Sanono. So after Yawura Kasawi and Nana Munyina ni ache. Ache say and your unity no. Yes. Abranti and Person and Kasaka Kraya. Okay. Yeah. So Yamamunyina Kwaba. Yawura Kasawi was sorry. Enti Ghanaian community at Howard University and they woman here.